Hello, welcome back to the Squawk and Talk podcast. I am your tonight's host, Finn. We have two of our members currently out of commission for tonight's recording, so just be the three musketeers of tonight. Drew and Aaron. Drew, how are you doing?
Doing good, buddy. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Cannot complain. About yourself, Mr. AA Ron?
Yeah, just surviving the wave after wave of Budew attacks and just staring at half my hand, wondering when I can play the game again. No, it's been alright.
Yeah, ain't that the norm?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been quite a few interesting weeks with the new format. Definitely has need to take some adjusting too, of course, but yeah, been playing a bit of Guardi and Dragpult myself. Didn't think I would be coming to that conclusion for this matter, but yeah.
You and everyone else, right?
Yeah. That's quite an interesting dynamic. Like Budew's completely just changed everything. So it's I feel like games have gone on a bit longer, and you have to like think about the turns, like 2 or 3 turns ahead. It's definitely taken a lot more of thinking in a game rather than just monkey brain, just go attack every turn.
Yeah, so it's actually as bad as it is. I think it's healthy for the game. Put the brakes on just enough. It should have a little text that says like you can't attack with this Pokemon again or something, just to but
it's too good of a card.
Too good. It's nice though.
Yeah. No, I agree. Drew.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's a welcome change. Yeah, it's annoying, but you can build decks around it. I think I like the shift. I think it's not really shutting out turbo decks, but it's definitely playing a slower, more strategic game.
Yeah, I think also like I don't think we've had more appeal in the last few years of going second. As of right now, I think most decks were actually probably going second. Yeah, like you said, Drew, like turbo decks and everything, it's just all up there early, and like decks that can just play TM Evo and all the other like fancy stuff that go second, like can just abuse that as well. But yeah, that's a good change. I like it a lot. All right, so let's talk about the Prismatic Evolutions Super Premium Collection. Yeah, so no need to worry about any of the stores selling out. And again, anytime soon, no more scalpers going for any of that stuff. So we'll actually be getting some more in with a bit more of a diverse range of stock rather than just the ECB and such. So yeah, the TPCI announced that they would have their premium collection released on May 16th, which will include 15 booster packs, as they also call it. The Fruit Dessert EV promo, rub playmat, and a bunch of other miscellaneous TCG products will be included in that. And I've had a look at the Evolution playmat art. It looks really beautiful, with like the big circle of EVs in the middle and just the outlines of the actual playing style of the game. But yeah, thoughts on having more access to this kind of stuff?
If I get my hands on it, I'm going to.
It came a little bit later than I expected, but it builds the hype around it. So yeah, like Drew said, hopefully we can get some more.
Do you reckon it will be scalped? Like 15 packs are in it, so I think it's a pretty high target for something like that. Like Poker Center is bringing in queuing, but that's just going to get dominated by bots, so I don't know how it's going to solve that issue.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the cards that are like in it, like still the same chase cards, all the EV arts and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely will some of the prices will drop.
I hope so. I would like
Yeah.
to be able to get some hands on some pretty cards. I'm wondering like price range, because some of the ETBs are going around the price that you'd probably expect this to go for. Do you think some card stores are likely to jack the price up for this, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like we spoke about it a while ago, when the ETBs were first released, and retail price was meant to be around 100 Australian dollars, and they were putting it out for 200 on release day. So I think something like this you would expect around the 160 mark, if I'm like guesstimating from the Charizard Super Premium collection, which had less packs in it, but giant Charizard.
Would you put it as that super premium Charizard deck? I would have thought it was more like that recent Greninja and Terrapagos one, which was like 230.
Oh, could be. Did that have more booster packs in it?
It had about the same amount of booster packs, the mat, like pretty much the same things.
Yeah. Well, there you go. But yeah, it's definitely on the higher end. Like maybe retail prices around that 200 mark, but it's definitely going to be sold for 250, 300.
Yeah.
Just because of the name and the hype around it, I would assume.
I think like that, and like also as well, like as like from a retailer's perspective, I think you would be kind of a fool not to jack up the price, expecting like all your stock to be sold out and everything for all these people that are going to come in, take all the stock, and then just resell it at a high price. You might as well just get in what you can get. But,
Yeah. Scalp the
at the end of the
scalpers.
day, exactly.
Scalpers.
Yeah. What was that? Sorry, at the end of the day.
I was just at the end of the day, it's like it all depends on like the retailers themselves and what they want to do. But from like a good strategic perspective, like I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, definitely a lot of retailers do things very differently. You get the ones that are meant to only hand out a certain number and then they hand out more. You get ones where you can show up and they just pull out a box full of them and go grab as many as you want.
Come on,
So,
take what you want.
yeah, so just see what you can find, I guess.
Indeed.
Alright.
All right. Moving on. So our region, Sydney, had a link up across the weekend. I was not in attendance because I was just woke up one of those mornings and just went, yeah, nah.
Mate, you gotta get there.
I do, man, but you're like,
Yeah, I get it. Like,
need that motivation.
yeah.
I need one of you boys to come with me. Next time it's just me.
I'll hold your
by
hand.
myself. Oh yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. But yeah, having a look at the top 8, like half of it, like Gardevoir, 2 Lugia, Maraudon, and Dragapult, like, so it's to be expected. Like that's pretty much what we thought going into this format. Like, yeah, Lugia searching all that stuff of stadiums, Gardevoir just Team Evo, and Dragapult, Lance. Like, there's every like deck in the top 8 just has a way around the Budew lock, and it's like,
Yeah. Well, that's what we're seeing, right? The meta shift around one card, and
Yeah.
it's healthy for the game.
yeah, exactly.
One thing I do want to say about this particular event, and not to name the exact event it is for reasons, but this was actually streamed. The top 8 was live streamed to our Facebook TCG New South Wales group, which I think is a step in the right direction for the region. Sort of, makes it more accessible for players in Sydney. Yeah, what do you guys think of that?
I enjoyed watching it. Definitely felt like a good position to be in, because especially if you go to those events, you don't often verse those people, and if you don't make top 8, I don't know if you necessarily stick around.
Yeah.
Maybe unless your mates are still there, but it was a good insight to see the types of decks that were succeeding in that environment.
Yeah, I agree too. I think what like when you see your name not in that top card, it's just that mentality is just sort of like, all right, it's time for dinner. Let's go.
Yeah.
Give me my
But
boosters. I'm out of here.
exactly. I think it's very good, like for the community. Like as like we previously mentioned, like the Australian like base doesn't get a lot of rep, especially in like the digital side of things. So it's good to see that kind of stuff getting viewed, and it gives us like some content, like early content before all these regionals with the new format, like to actually have an idea of what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Of course, us as Australians, like you can take our word as light as a feather, but as what we consider, it's a good insight into the step that we're taking with this format. Yeah, the winning list was quite interesting, actually. I was like looking at the gameplay getting done. There was the God of War that won was quite spicy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it definitely had a very big Budew deterrent, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was excited to see that. Not going to say I prematurely bought a card online, but I may have.
Go ahead and tell us of this 1/1 line of Pokemon that you wouldn't normally see in this deck.
I'm going to have a stab in the dark at saying the name of this Pokemon, and it's not particularly one that I use a lot, but...
So there's a reason I'm throwing it to you.
yeah. Cofragius, or Cofragius?
Cofagrigus?
Cofagrigus. Why just give it to me?
Just,
It's the horns.
and of course the pre-evolution Yamask.
Yamask.
Yeah, Yamask.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. It's like a baby Dragapult almost.
Yeah. So the Yamask for one single energy can put, is it 3 damage counters anywhere or just to one Pokemon?
I think it's 3 on the bench. I'll have to have a look. But
Okay.
Yeah, 3 on the bench.
Yeah.
3 on the bench, which is good to clean up sitting Budew late game if you need that one extra prize. But the Cofagrigus, as you said, it's like a baby Dragapult, right? It's 110 to the active and then 5 damage counters to the bench any way you like.
The thing that you got to think about as well is it's not just the 5 damage counters, you're stacking that with Monkey Dory's transferring damage over. So
yeah, true.
The Yamask is potentially hitting 6 damage counters. So it can take out like some Pidgeys, maybe, if there's any around.
Where's all the
Look, it
Pidgeys
probably actually would take out Duskulls, right? Like that's probably the big one.
That's, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Where you want them.
I actually spoke with the...
Sorry, you go.
Yeah. I actually spoke with the
Player
people.
pilot?
Yeah. There was actually 2 people were on the same 60, but I'm not going to disclose. But I spoke with one of them, and there's actually a tech for the Gardevoir mirror, because it's the way it works is that you get into the Rodriguez, and you go 110 onto the active Monkey Dory, and then you can go 5 damage counters, put them onto Curlia, and then with the Monkey Dory you can go 3 extra and then knock out a Curlia and take 2 prizes that way.
Oh wow.
And it's pretty good. Like the 260 HP is like really good, like number, and like it sets out of range of Miraidon and Lugia generally. And even Dragapult for like a little bit of time before it starts stacking up. And it's a lot of effort and a lot of investment for like the opposing Gardevoir player to knock it out as well. And then obviously even when they do knock it out, like that's still bad, because then
they're sitting with a vulnerable Drifloom or something in the active.
Yeah,
well, its ability is pretty good.
Yeah.
True. So its ability is called the Cofagrigus EX. The ability is Cold Coffin. If this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, search your deck for a card and put it in your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So that's it's very good.
Yeah.
Just like don't kill me or don't knock me out and I'll keep going, or knock me out and I'll get what I want.
Yeah, it's just a win-win. Like, it's also good too because so the way he was playing on stream, and he wasn't knocking out anything. He was just building up the damage gradually, so that because the opponent's like obviously bricked a fair bit, so denying access to positivity and such, and slowly building up the damage counters. It's like you're almost like what you said earlier. It's like playing a like smaller version of Dragon Ball, like with like less investment.
Much easier to set up.
I'm just kind of surprised that like it wasn't taken advantage of sooner. Maybe there were other better answers at the time, but
that's what I was going to ask. Like, why wasn't it taken advantage sooner? Like, was there just not as many Gardevoirs out there? Was there no need to bench snipe as much?
I think like Cresselia like also is like a pretty good card, but I think now it's I think drag players will get a little bit smarter and start piling the damage on like one
single target
and everything. Yeah, exactly. But
what would you take out for it? When I was looking at the space of the Gardevoir, I was very unsure of like what two cards am I taking out to put these two in.
Yeah, not too sure. Maybe you're gonna like cut down. I don't know. Like, you're running like a lot of heavy base like drawing stuff for like your supporters and everything. Like I doubt you would go beneath 3 Iona, 3 Arven. Cut down on the items. Not too sure.
Yeah, I suppose like Cresselia, if you are running that, you'd probably just take that out for one of the spots. Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I found it interesting. Like looking, I went searching through all the Japanese lists, through like other tournament lists, like in the West, and it is nowhere. There is no one that has even acknowledged the existence of this 1/1 line. So yeah, very very spicy, very very Aussie spicy. I think I can claim that one.
Bringing our Australian meta to the forefront here. I do want to shout out Robbie Cardwell. He is the man behind the stream, the one that's making it all happen. So looking forward to the next stream from them.
Commendable.
Just speaking to him briefly, he is looking to better the product, I guess you could say. Just work on the stream, and depending on how many viewers it brings in, obviously, the better product it will become. So yeah, please everyone jump on and watch when you can. Where did I say? Play Pokemon TCG New South Wales Facebook group. That's where he is streaming to currently. If numbers get high enough, he will look into YouTube channels or otherwise other streaming platforms.
Yep, it's a good path. Good path for good Aussie content. Very long overdue.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. On that note, we can move on to the San Antonio regional. A little bit late to the party, but big shout out to Henry Chow for taking his second dub of the season with his exclusive, I would say, deck on his Limitless page.
Really, it's his deck. Everyone else is just borrowing.
Yeah, definitely. I've never seen anyone play Gardevoir like so fast in my life. But this one is taking it a bit slower. Looking at the list right now. Secret box instead of.
Before we get into the list, I just want to reiterate the second player the first player this season to earn 2 Worlds invite. No one has done that yet. So huge congrats. But yeah, so sorry, go on.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's can hold that over as many people as he wants. Like good text like the secret box instead of the unfair stamp. Good deck thinning and like options to speed up. Like, um, doesn't really you don't really need the rare candies. I don't think anymore. Like, with if you're heavily relying on Team Evo, like it's kind of fine, I would say. And Secret Box also just like provides you with that many cards and stuff energies and everything. Early game. The one of Morwile he's actually started playing a bit recently, which is pretty interesting.
We've seen that more well before, right? That's not anything spicy, but it's not brand new.
Yeah. It's only like been played in Gardevoir and a few other decks I can't bring to the top of my head recently, but yeah, it's always been a good card. Yeah, just trapping something in the active, force the switch out. But yeah, you guys have any thoughts on the list?
I'm not a huge Gardevoir player. I'm going to defer to Brew. The main thing that I see that I am not a big fan of, though, is single Bravery Charm. Seems a little bit fragile. I suppose you can... He's a good player. He knows how to play around it.
Yeah, it's hard to say it's bad when he's won twice. He obviously knows something that we don't.
Yeah.
I love the inclusion of Secret Box. Like, at first when that card came out, I did not care for it, but the more decks I see it in, the more I'm loving it. I think it's a fun addition. It's definitely going to raise the debate of whether Unfair Stamp versus Secret Box, especially in this coming meta. But yeah, Morwile, it's good if you know how to play around it. It like slows the opponent down to keep you moving up. One Bravery Charm, I do see the risk. Like, it's sort of like once that's gone, like you're not slaying anything big, but same time,
you play the spread game.
Yeah, like I didn't see he had an issue with it, right? Like he was utilizing Gardevoir quite a bit, I think, to like just to attack. Like he knew how to play around that. Yeah, I think if you're ever looking for how to play Guardy, he's the person to look behind.
Would you say this is a list for a beginner player? Like if you're coming to Gardevoir for the first time and you pick up this 60...
Is Gardevoir ever a beginner deck? Price-wise, yes. Gameplay-wise, probably not.
You would cut away probably a few texts and everything and cut down to the basic Gardevoir list. There is like some angle where you could just like, I don't know. I think the very complicated part is trying to figure out your game plan against all the decks. Like as soon as you sit down across from your opponent, when you start playing, you try and figure out which attacker you're going to use on what turn, what your bench space is going to be like. I think that is also a big color because like when I started playing Guardy, it's like your bench can become so clogged so fast because you're mainly trying to rely on getting as many shots down as possible.
Yeah.
And then as the game goes on, you obviously have to think about like Drifloon, Screamtail space, Monkey Dory space, and the Radiant Greninja early game can also be a big factor if you're benching 4 odds down. But from a beginner's perspective, like I wouldn't pick it up as my first choice, but I think, yeah, if you strip it down bare bone and then just take it slow, like over time you'll start to get things. That just goes without saying with any deck.
Yeah.
I think it's a good deck for beginners to learn because it's sort of diving into the deep end and thinking about all these different lines. Just goes to show the depth of the game.
Yeah. This list is a very precise list. But yeah, you can definitely build it differently to make it a little bit easier to pick up.
Yeah, 100%. So that was the first place list. Second place was Alex Shemansky with the Palkia Noctowl. So it's the back-to-back regionals that Palkia Noctowl has actually gone runner-up.
He's gone runner-up back-to-back, right? not just the deck?
No. It was a different player last time.
Right.
Jonathan, I can't recall his last name, but yeah, Alex Trubisky, a very veteran player. Yeah, I think Palkia Noctowl just has that like diversity, and you can just search whatever you want like pretty early on, and you have like the choice of attackers with the Palkia or the Terrapagos, and yeah, a couple of like quite interesting techs in his list. One of Budew, one of Devo, Silene too. Thought that card had its run, but yeah, again, searching anything is whenever you want is like always really good.
Yeah. The budget Reggie Drago. Yeah. Is there much difference between this list and the ones we've seen previously? The main thing I can see right now, I just hovered over it as I asked that question, is the TM Devolution. That's not a standard card, right? Well, obviously the Silene.
Not so much. I think all the other top decks in there. Like works against Pidgeot based decks. Yeah, Dragon Ball have to get cute with Rare Candy. Like, it's very linear in what you can, but I guess you just found the space to cover all bases, so you can't exactly blame them.
No, absolutely. Moving down the list, we got James Kowalski on here, Pidgeot Control.
Goes by the name of All Out Blitzel on YouTube.
I also believe that he had the TM Devolution with Pidgeot in the top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually his top 4 game too.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I could never pick this deck up. The amount of one-ups and everything is just insane. This guy's probably Pidgeot Control's biggest fan too. So yeah.
It was Grant Manley, right? He ran a very similar 60. Managed to make top cut. Didn't get to top 8.
Oh, yeah.
So, where do we see Pidgeot Control in the future?
So he actually did, like a stream recently, I popped in a little bit saying Pidgeot Control, is it dead, is it not, with Budew and everything. And I believe that he actually managed to get the dub with it in this new format. I think it was a tournament of 216 someone-ish players. Yeah, 16 players. Yeah, 8-0 in Swiss, and yeah, just killed it. I think his adjustment was putting in the Grand Tree.
Yeah.
Really. Which honestly, yeah, probably ideal for the new format.
Yeah.
Do we have thoughts on Grand Tree going into like the regionals and everything?
In which deck? Anything?
Just in general, like if any deck splash it, like.
My biggest issue previously with Grand Tree is it's a one and done, and then you say to your opponent, here, have my ace back. Now, of course, you have control when you put it in play, and you realistically shouldn't be putting it in play versus in another stage 2 deck. The issue with the meta, how it's developing moving forward, is there's a lot of stage 2 decks, 2 very big stage 2 decks, sort of being at the forefront of the meta. So I don't know. Yes, sure, Budew's limiting the rare candy use, but I'm really not sure if putting a Grand Tree in play in this meta is a wise decision.
I mean, if he wants to play PGL control, as long as you get the PGL out, then.
In control, sure. You got more, control of the board.
Every option available under the sun.
Yeah. But for things like Charizard, or even, not that you would ever need it in Dragapult, let's just say Charizard for instance, yeah, I feel like it's its savior and its curse at the same time.
Yeah, what do you think, Drew?
I played around with it a bit, just like in a lot of decks, especially in sort of road decks and things like that. It just doesn't feel as strong as other ace specs. I think in control, it definitely has a home. Like, I can definitely see that even if they use Grand Trigger and get their Dragapult out, I'm sure Mawile's there trapping something that they can't get out of the position, so it's fine. But yeah, Charizard, punished by it. Most of the other Stage 2 decks don't really need it and would love for their opponent to run it. I'd be interested to see what other decks come out with it, but I think you're just benefiting your opponent at that point.
Yeah. Sounds pretty right. Like,
especially when a lot of the Stage 2 decks are the decks that are pushing Budew in the format.
Yeah. 100%.
If you're coming up against basic decks like Raging Bolt or Miraidon or things like that, that's probably when it has its place, right? Like being able to speed you up and they can't use it. It's just the other Stage 2 decks, which are probably the most common decks, is what makes me go, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. It's good to see that we're all on the same consensus. Alright.
Good to hear first, guys. No Grand Tree.
Stop trying to make Charizard Grand Tree happen.
Yeah. Getting back to the SMT list. Fourth place, Terrapagos Noctowl, you kept them wet. They've actually managed to top a few recent big events. Actually getting seconds at Toronto with Regidrago. That was a Regidrago mirror, I believe. Yeah, that was the one with
Right, where they butted heads, yeah.
Yes. But
that was the 6 Regidrago in the top 8.
Yeah, we didn't speak of it.
Sorry.
But yeah, pretty regular, like, Terrapagos list. Terrapagos Durstorm making a comeback in the last few events. Curious, since you're the Terrapagos expert, why are people playing this over the Claw, you reckon?
I think the Terrapagos Noctowl. I think one word for you, Noctowl. It's just such a strong card. If any deck could play it, I'm sure they would. It just makes the deck so consistent. Especially the Bufflance, they're so good too. And just being able to get the cards that you need when you need them. I think it's just like playing a strong, consistent deck. And I don't think Terrapagos has that same consistency. It really struggles with a lot of consistency issues. And it's really determined by the turn 1 play. And if Gardevoir is dominating, especially with like Henry Chow, and then we've got a second Gardevoir in the top 8, that already tells me that Terrapagos is a better play than Clorf. The deck is definitely strong. That's obviously why Tord was so consistent with it and playing it and definitely making a lot of good placings early on. He obviously failed to get a first place, but he damn got close. I think it's got good history, and that's more than enough reason to say why.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. Again with Tord, it was basically all over his Twitter, all over his Metafire. Turtle. total masterclass. And he did stick to that exact 60 that he did teach. I think he just lost his winning in, or the round before, and so just whiffing top 8. Still an achievement in itself, but taught is taught.
Talk we trust.
Talk we trust. We'll be saying that when he starts bringing back the Zoroark when it comes around. A few other generic decks in top 8: Snorlax, Gardevoir, Charizard, Raging Bolts.
Raging Bolt's best placement in a long time.
Can we talk about the 31st place, Jesper Eriksson?
Oh, this dude. Oh, yeah, this is quite interesting, eh? I haven't seen this concoction in a while.
Okay. Yeah. Let alone making it this far.
Yeah, I think its last appearance was what, in AIC?
Yeah, probably.
Am I looking at the same? Are we talking about this Charizard Dragapult?
Yes, sir.
See, I ran this, obviously not this exact list.
You didn't run the picnic basket?
Definitely did not run the picnic basket back then. I will put my hand up and say Charizard Dragapult pair so nicely together. Dragapult just fixes so much math for Charizard. He doesn't have the ghosts in here, but I don't know if you really need it. That picnic basket.
What is that for? Can you explain that one to me, Aaron? Like, why picnic?
I don't know if I can. My only assumption can be that he's teching for Regidrago, trying to get rid of that spread damage, trying to I don't know, man. I'm trying so hard here.
Yeah. Like, I still remember when they released Dragapult, like, I was on Picnic Basket, like, as a general staple tech, like, in the upcoming meta at the time. But, like, it really matters if Dragapult's just going to chuck all the 6 damage counters on the one, but I don't know, all the Dragapult players and Regidrago players get very cute and try to spread, so I think it's a very, very sick surprise that he actually teched it in there.
Is it worth bringing now, like, with the amount of Dragapults that are coming out?
My question exactly.
Yeah, sorry. Go mine single line. But yeah,
literally took the words out of my mouth.
Because I've been teching, obviously, like Moonlight in Gardevoir, which is the discarded energy in heal 30. But would other decks potentially be looking at teching this item in? Well, I suppose Budew stops items, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but if they're spreading damage,
they're not using
items.
Yeah.
It's like sort of like that mid to late game card where they're trying to set up for multi-prize turns.
Well, I look forward to our next tournament, guys. Anyone playing Dragon Ball?
Oh, don't worry, I'll bring the food.
Wow, good. It's a good surprise. Be about wrapping up for San Antonio, the last regional of this format. Good send off.
Surprisingly, no Regidrago.
I love that, like, the end of the format is Gardevoir as it goes into a format that's going to be dominated by Gardevoir. Like, he's done it with Gardevoir in probably a meta that probably didn't favor Gardevoir with the Regidrago around so much. But now he's going into a format. I'm curious to see how Henry Chow goes.
Using Brent Tonnison's words, he's won Gardevoir in hard mode, but he's just going to dominate for the rest of the format.
Yep. Going to get his last send before it rotates.
Yeah.
At least the curly rotates, but that's basically the card that makes the engine tick. But very quickly we'll touch Aaron. Yeah, you did comment no Reggie Drago in top 8. Quite a shock, honestly. See it dominate for the past like 4 or 5 months. Yeah, that is honestly like quite whack.
Got 1, 2, 3, 4 in top 16. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in top 32. So they're up there. They just couldn't close the day out, I guess.
They probably just whiffed in the top cut, sort of asymmetric cut.
I blame Nathan Stratford for bringing that Raging Bolt. Scared them all away. Alright, moving forward.
Yeah. That's a good note to end on. Yeah, I guess we'll move into the upcoming regionals that are happening in the next few weeks. Merida in this weekend. Obviously the first regional new format, so that'll be interesting. Then they have the Champions League the week after, and also alongside that the special event in Puerto Rico. More Budew. Yep. Can't wait to see all the commentators joking about that and on stream on the couch too. So
they got to put that Budew attack counter in, just like Azul.
True. And yeah, at the end of February we have EUIC. So been a while, but
huge.
Yes.
Champions League and EUIC.
We've got a few players, a few headliner players from our area actually catching their flight in about a week's time or so from now. So
nice. Good luck to them.
Yeah, indeed. I guess just question that comes down to, what are we expecting from Merida this weekend? If I need to ask the question.
We've mentioned a lot about Budew, and we've mentioned a lot about Gardevoir and Dragapult. One deck we haven't mentioned that is also looking at the end of its life cycle is Lugia. So this deck got a very big boost to deal with Terra Pokemon in the form of Regigigas. Yes, definitely bring your enhanced hammers or your what's the stadium called? Sorry,
Temple of Sinnoh.
Temple of Sinnoh.
I don't think that would stop it though, would it? It turns off the effects. It still kills you.
Yeah.
I think honestly, yeah, it's probably in a good position against like Budew, like decks, and like it's just a killer for Dragapult. Like, and like even if Dragapult does kill it, one prize is just so pitiful. Like it's just it feels so bad to just rock up to the regional with your new Dragapult Dust, and it's like, oh yeah, then all of a sudden you round one Lugia sitting up against them, and then all their little tricks that they have, because they already had like a bunch of different tricks in their repertoire before Regigigas came out. Like Legacy was just such a big boost, and like I didn't think you're chucking a Legacy on energy on the Regigigas. Like
zero price. Although Dragapult does have ways around that, right? So obviously that energy only activates when it gets damaged, like knocked out by damage. So if you correct, if you are able to spread damage to it on the bench, it won't trigger the zero prize knockout. The issue then arises that, okay, they have missed energy and you're only spreading 6 damage counters. But then we're looking at our buddy over here, the Ghost. Man, I'm so bad with Pokemon names. You think I would learn them by now.
Especially the ones that you use all the time.
Mate, I just look at the pictures. Dustnor, with his Curse Blast ability, is not enough to take it out, but with a Dustnor counter catcher, chuck in that Temple of Sinnoh. Sure, he's got the energies on him. Sure, he's going to knock you out, but the energies mean nothing when you return knockout with some spread damage from Phantom Dive. There's little plays around it.
Yeah, I think that's just going to be one of those plays that we will have to adapt to, considering he's on his last round and all the big Lugia fans just going to jump on that train in the last few remaining months.
Yeah. There's definitely a top 3 in the meta, and I think Lugia is definitely going to earn its spot over the next format.
Yeah.
So out of the big 3, what do you guys think the order would be? 1, 2, and 3? Too early to say?
I'll tell you after this weekend.
I would say Gardevoir's got a good chance. The options Gardevoir has, like with the ability to snipe and just even if players want to get fancy and put a Budew in, like that too. Like the deck's just natural. Like,
are we talking about meta share or placements?
I think Drew said placements, but yeah, I would say Guardy, Lugia, Dragapult. That's like the order that I would say this format's going to be decided by.
What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, I would probably maybe swap Lugia and Dragapult and go Guardy, Dragapult, Lugia.
Fair point.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you want more reasoning behind that. But
Do you have more reasoning?
I think like Lugia's got a bump. It probably depends on the cards that they play within the deck. Like, for example, Gardevoir doesn't run a Terra, so Regigigas isn't really valuable in that sense. So does that mean that Guardy pushes all the Lugias out? But I think the matchup isn't that bad even without Regigigas.
You still got the rat.
Yeah. But, like, are they still running the rat? Or are they running Wordeer? Like, what are people teching at the moment? I'm not exactly a Lugia specialist at all, but...
really depends. I think some lists run 2-2, some lists run nothing. I think you're crazy not to run at least a 1-1 line of Cinchino.
I think that's the minimum.
Yeah. To at least deal with Gardevoir.
Now that we've got Baby Pult in Gardevoir, does that change things? Does it snipe a little rat and take something else out with it, get 2 prizes? I don't know.
I think you just up your missed energy, maybe drop the V-Guard.
They probably still run Iron Hands though, don't they? So they're probably going to still take 2 prizes. So probably still favoured Lugia. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it probably is a better deck, but if we're talking about like meta share eventually and stuff like that and placings, I think the sheer amount of Gardevoir and Dragapults that are going to enter this tournament, it's just got such a higher chance to place higher. And if we're talking about this upcoming tournament, there's another deck that I think is probably going to be a bit of a bane, and that's Miraidon. I think Miraidon really coming in and playing out is going to push the Lugias out as well, so that puts it in a worse spot.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Like, you're not really too affected by Budew because you're going second deck anyway, and you can get that turn 1 attack, especially with Iron Hands. Like, you're not really like too stressed, and then even like the Magnet can just push out energy at whatever time, just to increase that damage that you're outputting.
Yeah, if you can get the generators off, you're looking at a deck that can take on Gardevoir with Iron Hands 2 prizing them, and Lugia. So that's 2 of the larger decks that it can take out. Sure, Dragapult is probably not a very favoured match, but they can't one-shot you without the Dusknolls. But 2 out of 3 is not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like you said, like it's a going second deck. You hit the generators, even if you don't. Like the other decks play slow, right? So even if you hit one generator, and then you just don't take that first turn KO, the other other decks in format are much slower. So you have that time. You can maybe give up one attack, and then bring your Iron Hands out to start amping.
You don't want to be too slow though.
No, you don't. But
too slow. Yeah, I see though.
yeah, Jesse Park. Was it Jesse Parker? Is that his name? He's gonna have
Yeah, he's gonna have a field day, isn't he?
He's gonna love it.
It would rock out with that. I think he has rocked out with it past few tournaments.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not the worst pick I've actually seen. It's actually quite up there.
Is there anything, any other lists you would expect to see up there?
From
Should be able to
popularity
round out this
perspective,
top
I reckon
five.
Cereledge will probably see a boost. I don't necessarily think that it's a deck that's going to win the whole thing, but looking at the Japan meta back when it was running in this format, there was a lot of Cereledge, and I've already noticed a lot of boost online with just the amount of people jumping on it.
Easy to play, like not too high maintenance with
Very
Budew
linear.
logic. Yep.
Over a long day, that's sort of what you want, right? If you
Yep. But yeah, I'm not too sure with the share of Swirlage like players in America, but or like South America for that instance. But yeah, like it's a deck that's out there, so like does its job. Another Bri deck, so you have that going for you too.
That's true.
Bri is always a fun card to slap down when they don't expect. Now with these tournaments you mentioned earlier, the upcoming tournaments of next month, Champions League, that is in the next format, right? Rotation.
Yes, for the Battle Partners cards within that. So we're actually finally going to be able to see what cards are actually going to be viable. Everyone's hyping up the Zoroark EX for nostalgic purposes and everything. Different sort of play style of a card. Same draw power, but I think that's probably what people would splash that card into many decks, is just mainly for the draw power. The Iona cards, the Electric Box, the Hops Zacian, that does seem promising as well. Depends on what you want to put that into as well. Maybe splash a Archalodon in there, get the energies up and rolling onto the Zacian. And what was the fourth set of trainers Pokemon?
It's the Clefairy, which is coming into the Gardevoirs these days.
Yes.
In a meta where you're seeing a lot of Dragapult and Raging Bolt, like Raging Bolt's dominating at the moment, I think the Clefairy has a good place.
I agree. It's like,
Is it
Clefairy
Lily's Clefairy?
That's the one.
Yes. It's such a good attack too. Like with Raikou, Entei, and Suicune rotating out. Like Clefairy basically having the same attack. It's just like nuts with the ability that it has. Yeah, I don't think you can ask much more with a dragon counter than a very rigid Gigas that like can just only go on one deck.
Is there any sort of new decks forming, or how are have you seen anything interesting in the city leagues? I guess because they're already playing that sort of meta over there.
Yeah. Few different sorts of stuff. There's a lot of the same old stuff like Drag Bolt, Raging Bolt. He did have Zorok win one of them. And if I'm not mistaken, a certain crocodile did win one of them. I know you boys were heavily invested into looking into this, so I'll take hand the reins over to you.
Okay, so the card that is in question here is Totodile. So this Totodile has 70 HP. For 1 water energy, Big Bite does 10 damage. And during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. Now, on paper, that doesn't sound too bad. But add the amount of Budews in format and the amount of decks that are going to start leaning on mate, I'm having one of those, forget the Pokemon name, the free retreat, Latios, yeah, that's it, we got there, Latios EX. I think this thing's going to have a field day. It's essentially the new Block Lax with the benefit of you. Not that there is any cancelling Cologne in the format, but you can't stop it.
Yeah. I think you would just have to have like a Tour or like any sort of like pickup card on standby, or like force a switching card or such and such. But yeah, again, Budew just like does look at some of those options if you are going to be trapping a Budew. Like, yeah, I think
probably wouldn't be trapping a Budew, but
you might.
If you don't want to play,
I love being item locked. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, free retreat. Nah.
But no, it's blocking retreat is just always been a good mechanic. Yeah,
it's like Block Lax, but I can hit you for 280.
Yeah. I can hurt you if I want to, but I don't want to
like
right now.
250 if you damage yourself plus the 30 from
yes.
Monkey Dory.
So for Alligator, so this for Alligator it has 180 HP. Has the Torrential Heart ability. Once during your turn, you may put 5 damage counters on this Pokemon, and if you do, attacks used by this Pokemon deal 120 more damage. And then it has the Giant Wave attack. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Giant Wave. For 2 water energy, deals 160 damage. So these cards aren't new. Help me with this set because I'm looking at the abbreviation TEF. That's
Temporal Forces.
Temporal Forces. There we go. So yeah, these have been out since the start of this format. It's taken them a whole year to sort of find a place in the meta. I think Budew's helping them.
Yeah.
And then obviously you pair for Alligator with the Relicanth's Memory Dive ability, being able to copy that Totodile so you can still trap if you want. Monkey Dories, remove your for Alligator damage and put them wherever you want. It's a schmozzle.
Yeah, it's a lot of things to think about.
Yeah. Like, in all honesty, I don't rate it. I don't think it's going to survive the test of time.
No.
But that's just been my experience. I think Gardevoir just walks all over it like it's nothing.
I think it's also preying on the fact that it's a new meta and you're catching people off guard.
Well, we saw that massive increase in control decks in rotation for the Japan meta. So it could be just the nature of when a new format arises, let's try and play control to get some free wins. Yeah.
While everyone's figuring out their lists, let's help them not play the game.
Basically, in the shortest of times.
Has anyone looked into any of these Raging Bolt lists?
I think there's 2 variations that I've seen. There's the belly bolt variation, which is just stacking the energy for like infinite damage from the raging bolt. And the other one's left my mind at the moment, but I think it's the more common one.
The other variation involves our favourite little owl, Noctowl and Hoot Hoot, and they're taking in some area zeros, and there is one more card here. Why can't I see it? Maybe this list doesn't have it. The Glass Trumpet is also a nice little inclusion, just to put more energy on the board.
Yeah.
This is a less linear sort of list. But yeah, the Belly Bolt is also interesting.
Do they run it with a Killer Watchful or just the belly bolt?
To find one right now, but I would imagine it's already gone.
Part of the Pokemon are not lasting.
The Killer Watcher lets you boss up something, like essentially boss's orders when you're on evolution, right?
No. It's
No, I'm thinking of
the draw
one.
power. So you discard an electric
Oh,
energy, draw
yeah.
up to 6 cards in your hand or something.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, I don't see it being a bad card.
It's like a super Radiant Greninja.
Yeah, you can sort of protect yourself from Iono. So a little bit of protection. It's always nice.
In an Iono deck.
In an Iono deck. Well, go figure. Anything?
Very. You got it.
No, I was just gonna say, is there anything else interesting that you're seeing over these City League results?
I saw one Flareon win. It was interesting, like they're running Gravity Mountain.
Yes.
So it brings down their HP, then you run the Victini to get the extra damage. So like Dragapult, for example, goes down to 290 and then that's in hit range.
Remind me of Flareon, what it does.
So Flareon, 130 damage and for a fire energy and a normal energy. Deal 130 damage and then apply 2 energies of your choice to your bench Pokemon from the discard, it may have been. Or is it the deck?
This, I think, is the deck, right? It's more of a setup.
Yeah. Which is alright, it's more of a setup thing. It's good into things like Goldango and stuff like that. But where you see more, I think, from what this deck's doing is getting all the energies using Crispin onto the Flareon's second attack, which is the trio attack, the 280 damage that's for like a water, fire, and electric energy. So they're stacking that with Victini to bring it up to 290 because Victini's ability is increase the fire attack by 10 damage.
Alright, so this does 280.
It's like Zapdos for Miraidon. And then you use Gravity Mountain, which brings down Gardevoir and Dragapult down to like 290, 280 HP, and then you're just pretty much one-shotting them. But you get to run all the Noctowl and things like that, being Terra, Eevee, and Flareon.
Yeah.
I've tested it. It's not very consistent. It's not very great. I would have loved to have seen it do better. It's probably why we've only seen it win once. It's probably caught a whole bunch of people off guard. But I did see it.
Did the thing one time.
Yeah. Japan always has just been a good long history of like put in the nicest terms, cooking decks. Very weird stuff, but to each their own. It's working, so yeah, all credit to them.
Do we have anything else we need to say today? Is this?
No, just the upcoming regionals. Yeah, just keep an eye out on what's good and what's not, and yeah, just look out for more Pokemon, I would say.
Do you want to send us off?
Yes, sir. What's good, been chat to you lads. Thank you all for tuning in, listening, for those that have done that. For future episodes and where you can find us. You can find us on Spotify and YouTube at Squawking Podcast. And obviously you can find each of us on Twitter. Our handles will be present on the screen. And take it easy, everyone. And
No worries.
yeah.
See you next week.
Indeed. Catch you later.
See ya.
So, yeah.